You walk into a room and the air it just hits you. It's this physical wall of sound.
The sharp clinking of cocktail glasses, the jazz playing just a fraction too loud.
Yeah, exactly. And everywhere you look, people are locked in these rapid-fire, completely effortless conversations. I mean, for a native speaker, it's a party.
But if that conversation is happening in your second language, that wall of sound isn't just loud, it is completely impenetrable.
It really is. It creates this sudden, very real cognitive blockade. Like every piece of vocabulary you've studied, every grammar rule you practiced in the quiet of your own home, it just evaporates.
You find yourself standing at a company gala or a massive holiday gathering,
Yeah.
and your status in that room, it just plummets.
You end up hovering. You essentially become a shadow, hiding slightly behind your partner, just following them toward the appetizer table, nodding silently while they chat with their friends.
You are suffering from what linguists and behavioral psychologists call the lost puppy syndrome.
Yes, the lost puppy syndrome. But today, we are going to completely dismantle that wall of sound. Welcome to today's deep dive.
We are looking at a completely unorthodox survival manual. It's called Midnight English, the secret language.
And it is so fascinating. It's curated specifically for intermediate English learners, people who are stranded on that B1 to B2 plateau.
But it is not a textbook about verb conjugation.
No, not at all. It is a psychological playbook for couples stepping into high-pressure social environments.
The central thesis here relies on substituting traditional language retrieval with something called the chunking method.
Right, and it pairs that with a really radical psychological shift. The mission of this deep dive is to explore how to cultivate an us versus the room dynamic.
It takes the crushing, paralyzing anxiety of speaking a foreign language in public and transforms it
into a highly coordinated private game, just between you and your partner.
Yeah.
But before we even get to the party, we need to talk about this chunking method.
Because traditional textbooks completely ignore how the human brain actually operates under stress.
They really do. When you're nervous, trying to build a sentence from scratch, like searching your memory for the subject, then conjugating the verb, finding the right preposition, it is agonizingly slow.
It requires an immense amount of working memory.
Exactly.
Think about how your brain stores information. Building a sentence from scratch uses your declarative memory system.
Yeah.
It is conscious, it is analytical, and it is highly vulnerable to stress.
Because cortisol, the stress hormone, it literally disrupts your ability to access that part of your brain, right?
Exactly. Cortisol blocks it. But chunking bypasses that entirely.
Wow.
A chunk is a prepackaged phrase. Your brain stores it as a single item in your procedural memory.
The procedural memory, so that's...
It is the same part of the brain you use to ride a bicycle or swing a golf club. You don't think about the mechanics, you just deploy the reflex.
So instead of trying to assemble all the puzzle pieces of a sentence while someone is, staring right at you, you just hand them the entire completed picture.
It relieves an immense amount of cognitive pressure.
It's intoxicating, really, when you realize how much that changes things. Which brings us to the actual strategy.
To cure the lost puppy syndrome, we have to rewind the clock.
Right. We are not starting inside the venue. The most critical moment of the entire night happens before your hand even touches the doorknob.
You are standing outside. The common impulse is to just walk through those double doors, let the noise wash over you, and immediately separate.
Yeah, your partner gets pulled away by a colleague, and you are just left completely stranded in a sea of foreign dialogue.
The manual identifies this as the fatal error.
The fatal error. So what's the fix?
It prescribes a 10-second anchor command to be used on the threshold. You stop, you physically pause, and you establish the dynamic.
You remind yourselves that no matter who is inside, you are a single unit. And the very first chunk the material provides for this moment is so incredibly potent.
It is just 3 words.
Follow my lead. Your partner says this to you quietly, maybe offering their arm just before you walk in. Let's look at the duality of that phrase.
On the surface, it sounds authoritative, almost commanding.
But underneath, for someone who is just drowning in language anxiety, it is the most deeply comforting thing you could possibly hear.
Consider the mechanism of that comfort. An intermediate learner walking into a native-speaking environment is carrying a crushing cognitive load.
Yeah, they're constantly translating, monitoring their own accent, anticipating questions.
And terrified of public failure.
Exactly. So when your fluent partner looks at you and says, "Follow my lead," they are absorbing that entire burden.
They're formally taking the captain's chair.
They're saying, "I have the wheel, you don't have to navigate," It gives you the psychological permission to just breathe, to observe and exist in the space without the pressure to perform.
But obviously, you cannot spend the entire night physically attached to their arm.
Right. Eventually, you do have to mingle. That invisible tether is going to stretch.
And right as that split happens, right as they go to grab a drink, you turn toward the buffet, they lean in, and they deliver the second chunk.
Blinked twice if you need rescuing.
It sounds playful,
Right.
like a line from a spy thriller.
Oh, totally. But applied to real-life social anxiety, establishing a safe word like that, it alters your physiological baseline. It fundamentally changes the neurobiology of the situation.
How so?
Well, reading this immediately made me think of the mechanics of a co-op video game.
A video game?
Yeah. Think about it. If you're playing a multiplayer game facing down a horde of monsters, your heart rate might be up, but you aren't actually stressed. You're having fun.
Because you are working together.
Exactly. You have a headset on, you're coordinating with your partner, and you have a shared strategy. By whispering, blink twice if you need rescuing, you take this massive, terrifying English exam and you reframe it as a multiplayer mission.
You are in on a joke that the rest of the room is oblivious to.
Yes, you have a secret.
That reframing targets what linguists refer to as the affective filter.
The affective filter, right?
When you feel alienated or judged, your amygdala, the brain's threat detection center, spikes. It triggers a fight, flight, or freeze response.
And for a language learner, that usually manifests as freezing, like a deer in headlights.
The affective filter goes up, and your ability to comprehend or produce language shuts down.
But playfulness is the neurological antidote to fear.
When your partner introduces a secret gamified element, the amygdala registers safety. The filter drops.
You're no longer worried about the room and judging your grammar because, honestly, the room is just the backdrop to your private game.
You aren't a lost puppy wandering the halls.
Yeah.
You are an undercover operative gathering intel.
Oh, I love that. The posture changes, the breathing slows down. It is a brilliant mental hack, but even the best operatives get caught.
They do.
The anchor protects you, the safe word lowers your anxiety, but the inevitable trap is waiting.
You are 30 minutes into the evening. You look across the room, and your partner is pinned against the wall.
By the most exhausting, fast-talking guest at the venue.
We all know exactly who this person is.
Oh, we really do. They're talking at 100 miles an hour about their golf swing, or obscure corporate policies, throwing out regional slang and idioms you have never even heard of.
You are smiling, you are nodding.
But inside, you are completely drowning. You have that hollow, panicky look in your eyes. And this is where the manual introduces the protocol for the smooth rescue.
The default human reaction to witnessing your partner in this distress is, surprisingly, to do absolutely nothing.
Which is crazy. Why do we do that?
We are bound by the invisible social contract of the room. We fear that interrupting is rude.
Or alternatively, if a partner does intervene, they do so with this blunt, uncomfortable awkwardness. They walk up, break the conversation abruptly, and say something like, "Sorry, we need to go grab a drink."
Which instantly makes everyone uncomfortable.
Right. And it subtly highlights the fact that you needed to be saved. It lowers your status.
The manual completely overwrites this clumsy approach.
Thank goodness.
A truly smooth rescue requires precise mechanics. You must interrupt without apologizing. You must instantly elevate your partner's status. And you must initiate physical removal.
And the specific chunk deployed here is it is a masterpiece of social engineering.
Your partner walks up, places a hand on the small of your back, smiles directly at the exhausting guest, and says smoothly, "I need to steal them for a second."
Let's just hold on that word for a second. The fulcrum of the entire interaction rests on one specific word. Steal. I need to steal them.
It is deliberate.
But if we're looking at this critically, it feels almost contradictory. I mean, if you're at a highly formal corporate event or meeting prospective in-laws, isn't the word steal a bit aggressive?
Aggressive?
Yeah, it almost feels too casual or even confrontational for a room where you are trying to project professionalism.
It is a deliberate disruption of the polite, apologetic language we typically use. But it is not aggressive. It is assertive.
Assertive. Okay, break that down for me.
Notice the grammatical structure. Your partner is not asking for permission. They are not saying, "Excuse me, do you mind if I borrow them for a moment?"
Oh, right. Because an apology or a request implicitly gives that boring guest the power to say no.
Or to hold you hostage for one more story.
Yes. The worst.
"I need to steal them" is a declarative statement. You are cheerfully informing the other person of an inescapable reality.
You're smiling warmly, but the underlying message is entirely non-negotiable.
Exactly. But let's look deeper into the psychology of human social hierarchies. Consider what the concept of stealing implies about value.
Okay.
You do not steal something that is worthless. You steal diamonds. You steal rare art.
Oh, wow.
By announcing to the conversation, "I need to steal them," your partner is subtly communicating to that guest and to the room that you are an incredibly valuable commodity. You are highly in demand.
That is a phenomenal pivot. Instead of framing you as a fragile learner who needs a lifeboat, it frames you as the most coveted VIP at the party.
You go from feeling trapped and inadequate to feeling desired and important.
And the physical cue anchors the whole maneuver. The hand on the lower back gently guides your physical momentum away from the trap, while the verbal chunk provides the unbreakable social cover.
But the rescue doesn't actually end when you walk away.
Right, the follow-through is just as critical. The manual provides a fourth chunk for the immediate aftermath.
You have successfully navigated away from the guest. You are safely out of earshot. Your partner leans in closely and murmurs, "Don't ever leave me alone with them again."
Delivered just under the breath, with a slight smile, it completely deflates the lingering anxiety. You're engaging in this safe, conspiratorial gossip.
Think about the internal monologue of the language learner in that moment. They were just struggling to comprehend a tidal wave of rapid-fire English.
Yeah, and the natural instinct there is self-blame, like, oh, my English isn't good enough, I am failing at this party.
By whispering, "Don't ever leave me alone with them again," the fluent partner validates the reality of the situation.
They're telling you, your language skills are not the problem here, that person was just genuinely unbearable.
It reinforces the boundary between the two of you and everyone else.
The party just becomes the set piece for your own private shared experience. It's brilliant. But, eventually the party has to end.
It does.
You've successfully anchored your mindset at the door. You've survived the social traps. You've executed flawless rescues. You reach the final stage of the evening.
The descent into the most agonizing phase of any social gathering.
The 30-minute goodbye.
It is a universal drain on human energy.
Oh, absolutely. But for an intermediate English learner, it is pure torture. You decide it's time to leave, but instead of walking out the door, you get caught in the gravitational pull of the foyer.
You spend half an hour trapped.
Saying goodbye to 20 different people, forced to repeat the exact same shallow, polite English phrases on a loop. Thank you so much for having us. We will absolutely see you next time. Have a wonderful weekend.
It completely erases whatever confidence and momentum you built up during the night.
It really does.
You are dealing with severe cognitive depletion by the end of an immersive language event. Your brain is exhausted.
So forcing it to generate repetitive, polite output for another 30 minutes, it often leads to stumbling, frustration, and honestly, leaving the party on a note of failure.
The manual solution to this is absolute: the phantom exit.
Culturally, some call it the Irish goodbye or the French exit.
The premise is that high-value couples understand the exact moment a party has peaked.
Right. When the energy shifts, they do not make grand announcements. They don't linger by the coat check seeking validation from the host. They simply evaporate.
And to initiate this, we are given chunk number 5.
You're standing across a room from your partner. The music is dragging. You catch their eye, walk over, drop your volume, and ask, "Are we ready to disappear?"
The linguistic framing there is exquisite.
It is so incredibly alluring. If you contrast this with standard textbook English, the difference is jarring.
A traditional B1 curriculum teaches you mechanical compliance.
Yeah, like, "Excuse me, I would like to go home now. Where can I find my code?" It's dry, transactional, and honestly, a little childish.
But are we ready to disappear? It completely rewrites the narrative.
You are literally framing your departure as a covert operation.
Even on a phonetic level, the word disappear operates differently than go home.
How so?
Go home relies on hard, definitive vowel sounds. It's flat. Disappear ends on a soft, lingering, airy consonant. It requires less breath, which naturally causes you to lower your volume.
Oh, interesting. So it forces the listener to lean into your physical space to hear you clearly.
Exactly.
It brings us back to that spy thriller analogy. The manual actually references the energy of Jones Bond at a casino.
A very specific energy.
Right. And when you think about it, adopting that secretive persona fundamentally changes how you physically occupy space. When you feel like you are executing a covert exit, your posture straightens.
Your breathing deepens.
Your vocal pitch naturally drops, which subconsciously projects immense confidence. You are no longer just surviving a stressful social obligation in a second language.
You are actively flirting with your partner in plain sight.
And that transition from public survival to private intimacy is finalized by the sixth and final chunk.
When you ask, "Are we ready to disappear?"
Yeah.
Your partner might hesitate. They might ask, "Are you sure? Should we say goodbye to the host?"
And the manual provides the ultimate closing protocol. You look them directly in the eyes. You drop your voice to a near whisper. And you deliver a direct command. Take me home.
Just take me home.
No conditional phrases. No, please. No, if you don't mind. Just unblinking eye contact and a lowered voice.
Notice what happens to the power dynamic of the room in that specific moment.
Tell me.
For the previous 3 hours, you have been spending all of your cognitive energy maintaining a public, socially compliant persona. You have been playing by the room's rules. By deploying a direct, softly spoken command, you instantly sever your connection to the public space. You shift the energy from polite and communal to strictly private and intimate.
It leaves zero ambiguity about where your focus lies.
The room ceases to exist.
The wall of sound fades out. Your English proficiency level, your accent, the vocabulary you forgot, none of it matters anymore. You have effectively won the game.
You have.
When you step back and look at the sequence of these 6 chunks, it is not just a list of phrases. It is a carefully engineered narrative arc designed specifically for emotional regulation.
It walks the learner through a complete psychological transformation.
Yeah. We started the evening paralyzed by the lost puppy syndrome, that overwhelming sensory and cognitive dread of the native-speaking crowd.
But rather than passively enduring it, we intercepted that anxiety at the door with the anchor. Follow my lead.
We offloaded the cognitive burden and established the team.
Once inside, we neutralized the threat of the room by gamifying the experience. Blink twice if you need rescuing.
And when the inevitable social trap occurred, we did not apologize or cower. We deployed the smooth rescue. I need to steal them for a second.
We bypassed the awkwardness of the language barrier and immediately elevated your social status.
We bonded over the shared friction of the environment with "Don't ever leave me alone with them again."
And finally, when the cognitive load reached its limit, we entirely avoided the trap of the long goodbye.
We used the phantom exit. Are we ready to disappear? And take me home. We walked out on our own terms at the absolute peak of the evening, having completely reclaimed the power dynamic from the room.
The utility of this approach extends far beyond mastering a few English idioms. It is a masterclass in environmental control.
That is exactly the takeaway here. Whether you are actively studying a second language right now, navigating that frustrating intermediate plateau,
or if you simply experience intense social anxiety at large, noisy events.
Exactly. This framework is universally applicable. Adopting this secret language and committing to an us versus the room mentality takes something that feels like an exhausting, terrifying chore
and turns it into a deeply empowering private experience.
You are no longer the victim of the party. The party is just the architecture for your own private world.
The manual distills this perfectly.
Yeah.
The ultimate value of attending an overwhelming event with your partner isn't the event itself.
No.
It is the secret, unspoken alliance you forge while surviving it.
So beautifully said. So as we close out this deep dive, I want to leave you with a thought to turn over in your mind. We have just explored how adopting a slightly secretive persona and deploying a handful of very intentional prepackaged phrases can completely flip the power dynamic of a room that terrifies you.
A powerful tool.
So what other areas of your life, whether it's a daunting learning process, a high-stakes professional environment, or a stressful family obligation, are you currently treating as a miserable chore?
And how could you completely hack your own anxiety in those moments simply by turning them into a private, high-stakes game?
Because when you change the rules of engagement, the threat disappears.
It evaporates.
The next time you walk up to those double doors and hear that impenetrable wall of sound, you won't freeze. You know exactly what to say. Until next time.